one of the most difficult things when it comes to defending Israel is that the pro-Palestine people often don't care about facts. How will we continue to defend against the Palestinian arguments? They don't seem to listen to the truth. Instead, take what has actually been happening, and even if we explain the problems with their reasoning, just make up stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is picking and choosing who you're trying to convince. Because someone who's like that Palestinian woman who stood up in the middle of the speech and started screaming at me saying I'm a colonizer, I am never going to convince her. There is no amount of evidence I can place in front of her that will make her think that maybe Jews shouldn't be raped and mutilated in the street. It's just there's no connections in her brain that will allow that to happen. But there are plenty of people in the middle that I'm trying to convince and she is trying to convince. Those are the people you have to go after. And that often involves trying to just calmly show them the truth rather than allowing it to become an argument, because it's what the other side wants, is they always try and get you riled up, try and get you angry. You've got to really focus on this as calmly as you can and actually just educate people, because there's a huge difference between being anti-Israel through ignorance and being anti-Israel because you hate Jews. And a lot of people I speak with don't hate Jews and they would never be in any way anti-Jewish, but then they're incredibly anti-Israel. Then I've got to get to the core of why they are anti-Israel. And usually it's because they've been told things that are just simply wrong. Once you reach those people, that usually sparks something in their head, they'll go away and do their own research. But a lot of this is also rooted in the fight we have against the media, because the media are essentially Hamas propaganda in the West. It's very hard to actually talk about the truth when you have the mass media just printing whatever Hamas says every single time. I mean, just go through the 8 months or so of the war we've had since October 7th. Every single major attack, for example, or so-called massacre that Hamas have reported, with hundreds of deaths, thousands of deaths, it's almost always turned out to be grossly over-exaggerated or just completely false. But if the media keep printing it, most people aren't doing the debunking themselves or doing the fact-checking, and they're just seeing a headline, think, oh, that sucks, and they get on with their day. And so a lot of the power comes from the first impressions that we need to change. And a lot of that is going to be trying to change the media, which is a far bigger problem to solve. Most people are receptive, though, to the truth. You just have to reach them in an environment and a tone that they're actually going to accept that truth. And usually when you have someone with purple hair screaming at someone, that's not the moment to try and do it, because the chance to convince someone is lost there. Those people are never going to be convinced. And the people you're trying to convince in the middle won't be able to hear you over the screams. So it's all about trying to create opportunities to reach people without that kind of environment being thrown your way.